Hi, Jeremy Cordeaux in the Court of Public Opinion. I'm just on air here to let you know that we'll be live streaming the Court of Public Opinion every Friday between 9 o'clock and 12 on jeremycordeaux.com. Please join us. We'd love to have you.
And what was that like playing against the old side? Bit of banter, no doubt.
A little bit. They tried to take me out a few times, but I love that because I'm pretty competitive. So, it was good fun running around. And I guess, at the end of the day, sport, it's pretty much a business. So you got to do what's best for you. So I don't have any hard feelings against people. I think they might have a few against me because I did jump ship. But yeah, it was a good fun game to play against old team.
Hey folks, thanks so much to the Southern Slugs Football Club for not only sponsoring this episode, but all their support the last couple of years. There's a great 5-day trip happening in Thailand where you arrive on Thursday, 28th November. You'll leave Monday to 4th of December. You can play in the Phuket 12s tournament. That's happening on Saturday, 2nd of December, where there's the over 35s men and the women's open age. The trip also includes an island hopping boat trip, 4-wheel bike tour, and of course visiting some of the beautiful beaches in Thailand. But last but not least, of course the partying that comes with the Phuket Masters as well. Head over to the Southern Slugs Football Club Facebook page for more details and get involved. Well, what a pleasure it is to have Jasmine Simmons on Sports Legends with Bevo for the very first time.
Thanks so much for having me.
Now, Jazzy, you grew up in Broken Hill with a couple of brothers. Tell us about that, through the early days, and I'm sure there must have been some pretty big childhood rivalries in the backyard.
Yeah, and the front yard. We had a bit of a dirt driveway, so it was shocking. My brothers and I got a bit competitive, so there were a few grazed knees and everything, playing basketball and footy. But yeah, grew up in Broken Hill, middle of everywhere, went from beach to bush, but so blessed to have the childhood that I had because it's 30 seconds away from everything. So I got to play every sport under the sun. And then, I had my older brother to look up to in the sporting world and then got to kind of pull my younger brother along with us as well. So it was great. And both of your brothers, tell us about them in terms of their sporting accolades then. Yeah, so my older brother, he's originally a basketballer, played and captained a lot of SA country growing up, and now he's living in Birchip, so the middle of nowhere, playing some country league footy. He used to play for the Bendigo Pioneers as well. And then Lockie, my younger brother, he was kind of more nonchalant about it. Very good athlete, but kind of, just cruised along and just did it for the fun of it.
Now, that's a pretty talented family. What about your parents? Were they sporty as well? Did they sort of encourage you to play sport?
They would like to believe they were sporty. Mum's a bit of a surfer growing up, so she grew up in Bondi, and she played I think a bit of basketball, did a bit of athletics and everything too. And then Dad, he did a bit of footy, full back, trying to kick goals from the goal square, spraying them everywhere. He did a bit of basketball as well, but yeah, sport kind of runs in the family.
And when did you come to Adelaide and move from Broken Hill, and how'd that sort of come about?
Yeah, so I've kind of been all over really. I went from Broken Hill to a little place called Golgol. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Yeah, have you heard of Mildura?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so it's 2 k's from Mildura, just over the New South border. So I went there, and then I actually went to the AIS for 2.5 years, and then went to America, and then ended up in Adelaide a few years after. It was kind of a journey, starting with basketball really, and then an opportunity for football opened up. So I decided, why not give it a crack and come down to good old Adelaide.
And how'd you find the transition from basketball to footy? Because we're seeing that quite often in AFLW where, girls play other sports and then move across to footy and now in the AFL as well with the men's. But how have you found that transition?
I've absolutely loved it, to be honest. There's a lot more running in footy, but I like to run, so it's not too bad. I've been in a high performance environment, elite environment for sport since the age of 15. So the transition's been pretty easy, I guess, in terms of that, because AFL at the moment is on the up in their professional aspect, and it's such a good environment to be a part of. So the transition has been pretty seamless, especially with the support that you get from all the coaches and players as well.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you were playing footy and basketball last year as well. How do you balance the two? And that must be a fair bit of a strain on your body as well.
A lot of coffee. It's pretty easy to manage when you're good with your time and everything. So that was actually something I had to kind of learn a little bit while I was doing both, which yeah, I found pretty easy at that time because of the support that I had in basketball and football. So they actually worked really well together to provide what I needed to help me perform at my best. So yeah, it was a pretty easy transition and something that was manageable.
And we'll talk a bit more about your footy career in a moment and how you end up at Port Adelaide. But let's go back to your
Mhm.
basketball career, though, because you won a championship last year with the West Adelaide Bearcats. And before that, you were in college for a few years. Explain a bit more about that experience, what it was like playing basketball over there in the US.
Yeah, it's very different. Pretty much like what you see in the movies is how America is. So that was a bit of a lifestyle change that I had to adapt to. Basketball over there, sport is a religion when it comes to pretty much any sport in college. You're seen like as a professional. So how young kids look at AFL superstars, that's how people on campus would look at you as a basketballer. The style of play over there is very, very different. There's a lot more like fast paced on offense, but a lot of one on one contest rather than like kind of playing team oriented really. But yeah, it was very different to the way Aussies play, but I had an amazing experience over there.
And is it like what you see in the movies, a lot of parties and that sort of thing as well? Or you can't really go into too much detail about that?
Look, that's a bit confidential. Nah. Um, there was, yeah, pretty much like how you see like the way that they see the world, the way that they talk. Like when I came back to Australia, I had a bit of an American accent, so I had to watch Kath and Kim for 2 weeks straight to kind of Aussie her up. But yeah, just the way that they carry themselves and everything like that is kind of, yeah, what you see is what you get really.
And as we've talked about before, last year you won that championship with the Bearcats. How'd you end up at
Mhm.
West Adelaide and explain that sort of experience of winning your championship or your first ever championship with
Yep.
the Bearcats in the NBO 1 Central?
So yeah, that relationship was pretty much so Vicky Doldy, who is at the Crows, she's our player development manager or like kind of the middleman everywhere at the Crows, and she was assistant coaching at the time at Bearcats. And I kind of mentioned I wanted to get into a bit of basketball like while I'm down here, and she was like, just come along, like we've got you. So then yeah, I started playing there, and actually, so Jazzy Fijo, we grew up playing against each other. SA Country and SA Metro rivalry. So it was nice to be a teammate for once, really. And yeah, it was kind of just such an amazing season. We started off strong and finished even stronger. Bit of a whirlwind, really. But yeah, it was pretty much the connection through the Crows is what got me at Bearcats.
Pretty amazing celebrations, I can just imagine too, winning that flag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. The best part actually was mum and dad came down for the grand final. So yeah, it was just so good to yeah cut a bit of the net off and give it to them and just yeah be with them for that entire part.
And then crossing over, you were at the Adelaide Crows, as you mentioned before. You're now at the
Mhm.
rivals, Port Adelaide.
Yeah,
What's it
love a
like?
good rivalry.
Yeah, exactly. We saw that on the weekend with the showdown. But yeah, what's it like being at Port Adelaide and how have you settled in and what's the culture like down there for you?
I have absolutely loved everything about Port Adelaide since the conversation kind of started till now. The yeah, coaches are amazing. The players are phenomenal. The culture down there, because it is a startup team, it's their second season in the comp. It's like we get to set the foundation for what the culture is going to be like. So the standards are very high. We're driving a lot of elite values and kind of yeah, building everything off a family and elite driven culture. And so, yeah, it's absolutely amazing to be part of, and I'm loving every second of it.
And the girls had a loss on the weekend to the Crows, but there were some pretty good
Mhm.
signs, especially at halftime. They led the Crows, and we know they've won those
Yeah.
three championships in the AFLW and been so strong for a number of years now. But do you feel as though there's genuine improvement and the girls can go a lot better than last year where they only won that one game?
Oh, 100%. I think obviously it's only my first year with them, but even there's been a lot of comments saying our preseason was so much better because we actually had a full preseason this year. And it's just been so competitive all across the board. So I think halving the margin against the Crows like this weekend that just went, considering last year, first year, lost by 60, then you lose by 30. It's like there's so many little one percenters that we're working towards, which are helping us at the moment. And I think, yeah, we're a force to be reckoned with this year. Scratched last weekend though. No, I don't want to talk about it. Rivalry runs deep, so
Yes, I can just imagine. And for the girls that
yeah.
don't get to play in the AFLW for that particular weekend, do you play scratch matches against the Crows or the other teams that you're playing against that weekend? Is that how it works?
Our season actually used to be when Sandful was. So if you missed out on selection, you got to play Sandful that weekend. But the AFL actually introduced that. So scrimmages this year. So each club gets 6 scrimmages. So for the non-selected players, you get to play against a team that you're versing at least 6 times in the season. So we got to do that just before the showdown against the Crows, lost by a point. So they've got a track record now. But, sorry, it was a goal, not a point. So that's all right. But yeah, no, you get to play 6 this year.
And what was that like playing against the odd side? Bit of banter, no doubt.
A little bit. They tried to take me out a few times, but I love that because I'm pretty competitive. So, no, it was good fun running around. And I guess, like, at the end of the day, sport, it's pretty much a business. So you got to do what's best for you. So I don't have any hard feelings against people. I think they might have a few against me because I did jump ship. But yeah, it was a good, fun game to play against old team.
Oh, I could just imagine. And, you know, what's the pre-season been like down there at Port Adelaide? And obviously, from what I've heard, they've done some pretty good work in terms of recruitment. Have you found it a pretty tough pre-season this year?
It's been pretty hectic, but you're doing it with everyone. So you're pulling each other along through the hard sessions. And we actually had a peak week where we did, I think it was like one 15K session and a few that were about 14, 15, like in there. Pre-season's been tough, but we've just gotten stronger as a team and like pretty much coming more together, which is really good coming into the season. So,
and what position have you been playing yourself?
I've been on the back, in the back line. So I was like half-back flank. Now I'm a bit deeper because I'm tall. So they want me to play on the tall players, which I absolutely love. But yeah, trying to move around and just wherever the team needs me, like that's where I'll play.
And how'd that transition work in terms of like going from the Crows to Port Adelaide? How'd that work, Jazz?
Yeah, I had to obviously be traded, but I just got approached by Port and they kind of said, look, we're interested. And yeah, I just weighed up the pros and cons of both for me personally, for my professional career. And yeah, just said, hey, look, like I want to get traded. And then you have the conversation with Crows and then the teams kind of work it out between themselves.
So yeah, okay, that's how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess there's probably, and again, it's no disrespect to Port, but probably more opportunities for you as well with a new club only being in the second year in the AFLW. Is that sort of the other reason why you moved across as well? More opportunities?
Not really, actually. I think people probably would assume that, but I think every team is competitive. You're always fighting for a spot. So regardless where you go, you got to earn your way into a team. But yeah, no, it wasn't the opportunity for like games and stuff like that. It was just, I think, excelling my career. I wanted to be in a place where I was valued both on and off the field. And yeah, I guess opportunity does come into it a little bit, but it was more for personal growth than anything.
And did you play footy when you were a child as well? Or I know you said you played basketball, but yeah, when did you start playing footy?
So I used to play for the North Broken Hill Doggies. So I actually was under the likes like Tex Walker. He used to teach me how to run a little bit back in the day. But yeah, North Broken Hill is my home team that I grew up playing for.
So you played, what age did you start playing out there?
As soon as I came out of the womb, I reckon. No, I'm not quite sure. Probably would have been 6 or 7 because my older brother used to play and I wanted to be better than him. So I was like, yeah, give me a footy. Obviously wasn't that good like when I was little, but yeah, it's quite funny to have that competitive spirit. But yeah, it would have been around 6 or 7, I reckon.
And you would have been playing against the boys as well. That would have been a bit of fun.
Oh yeah. Actually, I was I had to retire when I was about 13 or 14 because there wasn't any women's comp. So playing against boys my whole life. And then when I went to Mildura, I played down there for the Mildura Demons and yeah, kind of had to hang up the boots for a little bit because I wasn't allowed to play the age group above me.
Oh, that's a bit rough, isn't it?
Rough.
Yeah. And what about, obviously Port Adelaide is steeped in tradition. We know the AFL sides obviously won the one premiership, but the Magpies dominated the Sandful for a number of years and been around, well, the whole of Australia know the success of the footy club, and now obviously the AFLW is still relatively new in its second season, but it must be pretty special though to be at a club with so much history, and obviously the Port Boys with a finals campaign this weekend too.
I think you can't really put into words what it means to play, I guess, at any professional club, but especially at Port because it is such a enriched and deep history there. And I think it makes it even more special that there are girls who their fathers have played there, or they've got family members who have been there for so long. And so, yeah, we really tie everything back to the history. And I think that's what makes everyone come together that little bit more, is because you know what you're playing for. It's not ourselves or the number on the back. It's always what's on the front. So, yeah, it's pretty cool to be a part of.
And do the girls and the men's side have much to do with each other? Like, do you have anyone from the men's side that you have like as a mentor, or is it more sort of kept separately?
I wouldn't say mentor as such. I would say the leadership group more work alongside the boys a little bit more. But we do have like guys who will come out and help us at training, or if they're, say, injured or doing an extra running session, they'll stick around and, give us a hand or help the coaches out. So it's pretty cool to have that. They did actually come, a few of them came to the game on the weekend as well. So we always go to their games. Most of them will come to ours. So, yeah, we kind of intertwine that way.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of, like the characters down there at the Port Adelaide women's side, who's some of the funniest teammates and why down there, Jazz?
No, this is an offensive question because people will probably be offended. Funniest teammates. Everyone has their own quirks. It's actually so hard because everyone is so different on that team. I reckon probably Matilda, who's our newbie. She debuted on the weekend. She's
Matilda
hilarious. Yeah. Darchie, very funny girl. I'd say Borgie as well. Annalie Borg is a comedian. But yeah, I would say pretty much everyone on the team has got their one-liners or their little things that they do that are pretty funny. So yeah, that's actually a really tough question.
No, you've answered it well.
Yeah.
That's the best part about being involved in footy clubs. And I played footy for 20 plus years, and the banter in the change room, that's what we play sport for, you know what I mean? That fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely. And to win.
Yeah, of course, exactly. So, Jazz, in one word, how would you describe your coach, Lauren Arnell?
In one word?
Yes.
Oh, that's an even tougher question. One word, I would say phenomenal. I think she's such an amazing coach, so down to earth, but she actually genuinely cares about your performance and your well-being at the same time. She's always there full-time pretty much to help you with footage, to have a chat about life, or to push you on the footy field. So, yeah, I think one word's a bit hard, but, yeah, phenomenal would be my pick.
Oh, I'll give you a couple more then. You've done pretty well.
Yeah.
Two other words.
Like a couple more. Now you put me on the spot. No, she's very committed and always gets the best out of her players. I think that's probably why our preseason was so successful and why we're kind of getting better 1% every single day, is because of the commitment that she's put in for planning our preseason to running every training session, but getting every single coach involved, making all of us feel like we've got a purpose in the team. We're all moving towards a common goal. So, yeah, very unifying as well. I think those would be my other two words.
And who at the club would you most likely see on reality television and why?
Reality TV. Oh, my God. I would actually say Matilda again. I think that she loves the camera. And if you've seen any of our Instagram things for like the Port Adelaide women's footy team, she's always got the mic. Somehow she always ends up with it and is always in front of the camera. So I think she would probably be the one to watch out for. She was probably going to end up on Married at First Sight, but don't tell her I said that.
Love that. I might have to get her on Legends with Bevo then in that case.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea.
And before we let you go, I always like asking the men's players about pranks and pranksters. Is this kind of thing happening in the women's perspective as well? Like, do you have a few girls that play practical jokes and their teammates and what have you, or is that more just a blokey thing?
I think you've got people who like do silly things, but not really the whole prank thing. I think if anyone was to, they would be Juzzy. So Justine Mules, she would be the biggest prankster. But yeah, I don't know. No, I think that's more of a boy thing, to be honest.
So you don't move each other's cars and things like that? And
Yeah. But girls get offended at little things like that, so it's just like, wouldn't be worth it.
Well, Jasmine Simmons, thanks so much for joining us today on Sports Legends with Bevo and giving up your time. It was really great to chat with you, and all the very best for season 2023 and slash 2024, and hopefully you get an opportunity going forward with the next year or two.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for having me. I've absolutely loved being on this podcast.
Oh, you're too kind. Thanks, Jazz.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
Hi, Jeremy Cordeaux in the Court of Public Opinion. I'm just on air here to let you know that we'll be live streaming the Court of Public Opinion every Friday between 9 o'clock and 12 on jeremycordeaux.com. Please join us. We'd love to have you.